Alright, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. UFC 287 is less than a week away, and I cannot wait, dude. This is one of those cards that make me, like, wake up every morning and think about how this is the best sport on planet Earth. And I love this sport more than almost anything, so yeah, this is going to be my picks and predictions video. There will be timestamps in this video if you only care about the co-main or the main event or whatever. I'll try to get through the earlier fights as quickly as I can so that I have more time for the co-main and the main event. Let's get right into it. But before we do, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, dude. So I'll thank you in advance because I'm Canadian, eh? So thank you very much. Now let's get into it, okay? First fight of the night, Jaqueline Amorim versus Sam Hughes. I'm going with Jaqueline Amorim here because, dude, if you look at her record, every single win on her record is a first round submission, which is incredible. And to be fair, she hasn't fought like extremely high level competition in regards to women's MMA, but still, you don't typically see that. That was like there was a fighter on the last card with Cheeto and Sandhagen that I was excited to see. It was a lady who was fighting at 135 pounds. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she has like flying knees, crazy stuff that you don't usually see from the female side of the sport. So she ended up pulling out though, unfortunately. So here we get another one with a bunch of first round submissions. Sam Hughes, she's got way more UFC experience, but that being said, her biggest win streak is 2. And I think she's 2-4 in the UFC right now. And to be fair, she's probably been fighting better competition, but I just don't see her being able to get this one done. You don't ever really see girls getting consistent first round submissions like that, so it's impressive, and I'm actually kind of excited for this one. So anyways, we'll move on to the next one. Shayilan Nuerdanbieke versus Steve Garcia. Now, first of all, Nuerdanbieke is good, but I wouldn't go and be betting on him to win by first round TKO this time around, okay? Because if you guys haven't been paying attention to any like UFC drama, obviously his last fight was against Derek Minner, who was James Krause's fighter that was allegedly injured going into that fight. They allegedly knew that he was injured going into that fight, and it seriously affected the betting line, which is what triggered the entire investigation for James Krause and his whole Discord thing. So, but and besides all that, I still will be picking Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. Steve Garcia's got some good wins on his record, right? He beat Chase Hooper last time out. I think he finished him in the first round, too. He was finished by Meerschaert right before that, and then he got a finish over some Charlie dude, but he also lost to Luis Pena, so his record's kind of, back and forth. He can't seem to find consistency. He's got a hard time stringing wins together, whereas Nuerdanbieke right now on a 3-fight win streak after dropping his first fight in the UFC 2, Josh Kulabayo, who we saw just a couple of cards ago. Actually, he's quite good, despite what his body may look like. I just hope that he realizes that Derek Minner probably threw that fight and that this guy's not going to drop as easily as Derek Minner did. But still, picking Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. I think it'll probably be a tough fight for both. Probably be able to get the nod on a decision I have written here in my notes. Next fight, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Trey Ogden. Okay, this is going to be a fun fight. Both of these guys have had opponents fall out recently, so I think they're both going to be chomping at the bit to just get in there and make some money. I'm going to have to go with Bahamondes on this one. Trey Ogden made it to the UFC a little later in his career, which we've seen kind of like not work out for guys. You see there's like one guy in the last few cards they got to the UFC at like 35 years of age, and they had impressive records outside of the UFC, but then you really see like the competition level increase and they seem to have issues. He hasn't really like done anything that impressed me. The thing that he did do, well, this is impressive. He was absolutely supposed to lose his fight against Daniel Zellhuber, or I don't know how you say it, dude. The Mexican guy, the golden boy, who he was like a fucking 4-1 underdog or something crazy in that fight. But I don't think that this fight will look anything like that. That kid seemed I don't know the correct word to use. Maybe arrogant or like overly confident. He didn't throw like a single strike in that first round. but he was acting like he was doing something. And then, you're playing catch up. And Trey Ogden's got a really weird style, especially for like some young kid who's only had a few fights, and against lesser competition, right? Obviously outside the UFC. I don't think it's going to matter here, but Trey Ogden will be hard to finish, so I could see like a 29-28 decision in favor of Bahamondes. But I will say, if Trey Ogden closes as like a massive underdog, it might be worth throwing some money down on him just for fun. Because he is tricky, dude. He's got a weird style. He's awkward, but yeah, I got to go with Bahamondes here. Next fight, dude. If I didn't have a wife, I might think that I'm an incel. Like, I might legitimately think that there are so many ladies in the UFC that I absolutely can't stand. And this next lady, or one of these next ladies, to me she is right up there with Maycee Barber. Okay, and there's another lady down the card who I get irritated by, but this one, goddamn, dude, Cynthia Calvillo versus Loopy Godinez. I literally wrote that in my notes. Cynthia Calvillo is on par with Maycee Barber for the amount of absolute disdain I have for her. I don't know, man. If there's somebody who like watches this that's new, just know that I do have a wife. I'm not an actual incel, but I do hate many of female fighters. She's on a 4-fight skid right now, and I don't know how this lady is still in the UFC, but she is. I think Uriah Faber really has like something on Dana White, because his guys get opportunities that they probably shouldn't. He gets guys in the UFC off of like contender series fights where it's like a boring decision, but somehow because the guy's associated with Uriah Faber, he gets in. Cynthia Calvillo trained out of Alpha Male. And man, if I'll tell you what, dude, if this was a guy, he or whatever would have been gone a long time ago, because not only is she on a 4-fight skid, and yeah, I guess they've been against tough opponents like Caitlin Chukagian. I guess kind of a tough matchup. And then obviously Jessica Andrade, that's a tough matchup. But Andrea Lee, we just saw her beat Maycee Barber and not get the decision. But we didn't see anything special out of her. She's not like a scary chick who's like hurting you. And then Nina Nunes, who is whatever, dude. You know what I mean? But so not only does she have issues, and, dude, her last fight is against Jessica Ai, who more than likely had to ride on the short bus to get to the arena, okay? So that's not really a good win. I mean, she lost to a bunch of girls towards the end of her career. She misses weight so much. If this was a guy, they would be torn to shreds. People just forget about it. She's missed weight like 4 times. At strawweight. They had to do 2 catchweight bouts for her fights. One against Calderwood and one against Poliana Botello at 118 pounds. So she always seems to be at least a couple pounds overweight. And then the next time against Marina Rodriguez, she weighed 125 pounds, or 120.5 pounds, sorry. And like, they're not in a row. There's like a fight in between each one, but dude, get it together. That's why she moved up to flyweight in the first place, right? I could see her coming in at 117.5 pounds. I could. She has a serious fucking problem with this shit. Every reason I'm picking Loopy Godinez has nothing to do with Loopy Godinez. It all has to do with Cynthia Calvillo. Okay, I can't stand this lady. So, again, I'm picking Loopy Godinez. And no, it's not just bias, dude. She's not a good fighter. She's not good. She's not really good anywhere. So she's also cringe, dude. On the mic, I can't stand her. Jesus Christ. Anyways, Loopy Godinez. Yeah. I don't think she should be as big of an underdog as she is, because I'm not overly impressed with like Loopy Godinez, but it's probably just the 4-fight skid and all that stuff. Next fight, Gerald Meerschaert versus Joe Pyfer. Dude, I'm doing it, dude. I'm doing it. I'm going with Gerald Meerschaert. I know Joe Pyfer's good. I know Gerald Meerschaert, like, gets hurt in almost every fucking fight that he's in, dude. But Joe Pyfer's only got 1 fight in the UFC. He hasn't really had to fight anybody you know, he hasn't had his like veteran test yet, and he's 10-2 overall. One of his losses were by submission. So, you know, GM3's been there, done that. He's fought the who's fucking who, dude. He sub Bruno Silva. You know what I mean? Alex Pereira, the champion, took him to a decision. And that dude can crack too. Like Gerald Meerschaert, yeah, man. He guillotined him. Gerald Meerschaert only loses to really good guys, and sometimes he will show you flashes of brilliance. It's funny, man. He's like the middleweight Paul Craig or something. His wins are like against really good guys. It's crazy. You know, he split decision with Kevin Holland, split decision with Eric Anders. Eric Anders is a tough guy to take down, and you know, he's a big, strong dude. He fought Thiago Santos, Jack Hermanson, Trevin Giles. I mean, the guy's fought literally everybody. Pyfer's pretty young, not nearly as experienced. He has been looking pretty good in his time before the UFC. However, he was fighting guys with records that are not reflective of the kind of competition you'll be fighting in the UFC. Like, I wrote down some of the records of his previous opponents where he's got finishes against, right? Making him look really good. So he's got, one guy was 7-6. One guy was 10-12, 5-7, 5-5, and 3-4. So like 3 out of those 5 opponents had losing records. One of them was a 50-50 even record, and one of them, after his fight with him, was 7-7 even record, which is horrible, dude. These are not records that you would ever see in the UFC. And then you look at his first loss on his record, and it was the first time he fights a guy with a winning record. And then the next loss was to a guy who was 12-1. So when he's fighting guys that are actually like good, you know, it's hard for him to look dominant against. And Gerald Meerschaert, man, he just finds a way to get it done. I get that loss against Hamzat Chimaev, did not look great. He looked like a fucking deer in headlights. He looked absolutely terrified, but you know, he was on a 3-fight win streak at the time and had wait, what? My bad. I don't even think he has a finish in the UFC. Or, fuck, I don't know, dude. I wrote these notes like I was dyslexic, apparently. No problem. We'll just move on to the next one. GM3 has been active, and since his loss to Hamzat, that's what it was, he's gone 4-1 with 4 finishes, by the way. And his one loss was to Krzysztof Jotko, who is pretty damn good, and it went to a decision. So I don't really see Joe Pyfer getting him out of there. Now, maybe he does. Gerald Meerschaert can be a little inconsistent from time to time, but I'm going GM3 by guillotine, okay? I don't know what round. Maybe 3 with a minute left. Who knows? No, I'm just kidding. But next fight. Chase Sherman versus Karl Williams. Man, when, well, at least on the UFC's website, they still have Chase Sherman versus dude, who's the big fat dude? Shit, why can't I think of his name? Chris Barnett. They still have it as that. Or at least they did when I wrote these notes yesterday. And Chase Sherman was listed as the favorite, which is nuts to me, dude. The guy's on a massive skid. 5 of his last 6. And some of them are bad. Like to guys like Parker Porter. You shouldn't be losing to that. Come on now. I know he's a lot bigger than Chase Sherman, but Jesus Christ, Parker Porter is no bueno. I'm going with Karl Williams. I feel like he knows he can out-grapple this dude because he just did it against a guy who, you know, Lucas Bresky or whatever. I remember that fight. It was like not that long ago, but I think Karl Williams is just going to go in there and grapple fuck this guy. I don't know if he'll get a submission or anything like that, but I don't see Chase Sherman winning this one. He doesn't have like the one-punch KO power to keep Karl Williams away from him. And I think that Karl Williams has clearly been working a lot on his grappling, and he knows that he can do that to some guys. So, yeah, I'm going to go with him. Just wrestle fucking. He clearly wants to keep the ball rolling, man. He there's like not a whole lot of time in between his last fight and this fight. But so good for him. Karl Williams. Going with okay, here's the next one, dude. The next lady that drives me crazy. Michelle Waterson versus Luana Pinheiro. Pinheiro? I don't know. I'm congested. So anyways, what we will see on Saturday night from Michelle Waterson is an absolute stunning display, an absolute masterclass in shadow boxing. Okay, that's what we'll see. We'll also see her doing this with like a mean mug face on, even though she's never like really cracking anybody with her hands. Yeah, the meanest face, damn it. She's gonna hit air. We might even see her key on at times. Okay, who knows? But anyways, that being said, I think I'm gonna go with Pinheiro here, whatever the fuck her name is, dude. I can't pronounce. I'm not. I would imagine she's Brazilian. I just about said I'm not Portuguese, but either way. She isn't the most impressive either, though. She hasn't fought anybody nearly the level of Michelle Waterson. But I think that Michelle Waterson's age, and she's lost 4 of her last 5. And if I remember correctly, that was one of those split decisions where I think Angela Hill actually got robbed. Oftentimes, when Angela Hill doesn't get a split decision, I'm thinking to myself, because she always gets mad, no matter what, okay? I'm thinking to myself, shut up, you fuck. You didn't do much. What you got to give them something to... shut up. If you didn't, like... It's so annoying. But some of them she actually does get robbed in. And if I'm not mistaken, this was one of them. So, had the judges given that fight to Angela Hill, Michelle Waterson would be on a 5-fight losing streak right now. And yeah, they're all to better fighters, but I think that she's done, man. And I think that the only reason she was able to really, like, be somewhat top of the food chain at all was because she's kind of like the last generation of female fighters, right? It was at a time when there wasn't a whole lot of really good ones. And yeah, she does do that thing that Macy Barber does, where she will throw fucking crazy head kicks and shit when their opponents are so far away. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Flash it, like do a little hip twitch or something. Don't throw the kick full power when they're... Stop, please. It's so frustrating to watch. They're in the UFC. They shouldn't be doing this. Anyways, dude, Luana Pinheiro. But again, Michelle Waterson, last time I checked, pretty big dog. So if she closes as an even larger dog, again, that might be another dog that you'd throw money on, because I'm not like totally sold on Luana Pinheiro. Much like the Cynthia Calvillo fight, I'm picking against Michelle Waterson, not for Luana Pinheiro. I just don't think that she's... I think she's done, man. She's almost 40 years old. She's... I don't know. Just doing goofy shit on Instagram with fucking Holly Holm that makes me cringe. And I wish she would grow her hair back, dude. I really do. Because with that haircut, in my opinion, she is no longer the karate hottie. She is like the karate Karen. That's what she looks like, okay? So, anyways... Next fight, Chris Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum, dude. This is a tricky one because they're both kind of old. But that being said, well, actually, Kelvin Gastelum's younger. But that being said, I think Kelvin Gastelum's done, dude. And Chris Curtis has had some wins in the last couple of years that have actually aged quite well. Like, he's got a win over Brendan Allen. And that's a good win, dude. That's a good win. They both lost to Hermanson, but Chris didn't get finished, whereas Kelvin got, what was that, like a leg lock, like, in the first round, right quick. That was the fight, dude. I swear to God, if Kelvin Gastelum comes out here with a man bun, with the amount of hair that motherfucker has, I'll hope he loses, dude. I don't hope he loses right now, because it's kind of sad. He's, he was like a staple in the UFC for a very long time. So if you've been watching the UFC for a long time, you've been watching Kelvin Gastelum for a long time, but... When he came out against Jack Hermanson, I remember he had whatever fucking hair he had at the top of his head tied in this little tiny bullshit bun. And I was thinking, like, dude, that hair's not in your eyes. Why the fuck are you doing that? You look like an imbecile. And then he lost, and I was like, good, dude. Don't be fucking faking man buns, bro. If you want a man bun, you need some hair, dude. Like, real hair, not just a fucking... The guy's literally got, like, a fade. And he goes, I'll just pull this back as tight as I can and get it into a little tiny bun so I can look like a samurai or something, because this hair is definitely not my eyes. Okay? What else was Chris Curtis lost to Bilal Muhammad way back in 2014 outside the UFC, obviously, but his record's crazy. He's got a lot of fights on there, but yeah, I have been having a hard time pick this one. I am gonna go with Chris Curtis though. I am gonna go with Chris Curtis. It was hard for me though because like Joaquin Buckley, while he's good and he has that amazing highlight reel KO that everybody knows and loves about him, to me, he's not that good, Joaquin Buckley, honestly, and his chin's a little, you know what I mean? He's been put down quite a few times, and yeah. Chris Curtis, though, being able to beat Brendan Allen shows that's good shit, dude. That's a good win. Brendan Allen just went out there and fucking submitted. Who was that guy, dude? I can't even remember his name, which is not great. But a guy who he was supposed to, if anything, be submitted by. The guy that broke Jacare Souza's arm. I can't believe I can't remember his name. I apologize. I'm having a moment, but either way. It's a good one. And, dude, Kelvin Gastelum, I would have said if he didn't have that fight with Bobby Knuckles, I would have said the good thing about his losses is he's not taking a ton of damage, right? Because his fight against Darren Till, besides the Israel Adesanya one, that was a while ago though. His Darren Till loss, there was like not a whole lot of damage there. Darren Till was basically just fucking clinching and breaking. And then Hermanson leg locked him real quick, so there was no real damage there. Bobby Knuckles, though, fucking put the beat down on him, and that was a bad one. And credit to Kelvin Gastelum. He's got like a fucking huge head and granite chin, apparently, because even clean head kicks, he got rocked, but he didn't ever get put down. And yeah, man, I don't think Chris Curtis will be able to finish him either, but that being said, he's taken a lot of damage, so we'll see, I guess, if whether or not his chin can hold up. Chris Curtis can crack pretty good. So, anyways, yep, Chris Curtis over Kelvin Gastelum, probably by decision. Next fight, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. So the Mexican Stan Smith, guys. The Mexican Stan Smith, or at least I think that's what his name was. From American Dad, the guy from American Dad with the giant jaw. Virtually identical, okay? I'm going with Raul Rosas Jr. I don't think that this is the level of competition he'll end up losing to. With that being said, though, I don't know if he's going to absolutely fucking dominate him. But Rodriguez is a new guy in the UFC. He's only got 2 fights. He's 1-1. And I don't think it'll be as fast as Jay Perrin. Was that the last guy he fought? But I could potentially see him getting another first-round submission. Maybe just towards the end of the round. Maybe Christian Rodriguez makes him work. But I'll tell you what, dude, eventually this guy's going to lose to somebody, and he seems to be. And I understand that confidence is like a virtue in this sport, and you wouldn't want to be like doubting yourself and shit like that. But he is so young that like eventually he's going to there's going to be somebody that fucks him up. And he just seems a little arrogant. I don't like a lot of these new hype trains. Like, I'll tell you what, dude, I don't like Bo Nickel at all. And I could absolutely see him getting fucked up by somebody. I don't think he's going to make his way all the way to the championship. But, like, I know a lot of people do. But it's not... You can't just... So, who's champion right now? Yeah, maybe. Right? Whether it's Izzy or Alex Pereira, honestly. He might be able to go and take him down. But on his way up there, there are so many guys that I think... that are bad matchups for him. And not even just, in the top 5 or whatever, but like fucking outside of it. But if we are looking at the top 5, I think Bobby Knuckles is a bad matchup for any fucking grappler. That guy's got some of the best takedown defense ever. And, like, period, dude. Maybe of all time, like, up there in the UFC. And his striking style is so fucking hard for guys to deal with. So, yeah, I'll go with Raul Rosas Jr., but depending on how they match him up later, he might be a great, massive favorite to pick against, but not this time around. Okay, next fight, Kevin Holland versus Santiago Poninibbio. I have to go with Kevin Holland, man. I don't know what just happened to my voice there, but it did. It happened. So, yeah, I have to go with Kevin Holland. However... He makes horrible decisions in fights sometimes, okay? That's one thing. And he's allegedly got like a brown belt or a black belt under Travis Lutter, which Joe Rogan fucking it just itching to tell us every time he fights, okay? Which is annoying because he's clearly not some fucking jiu-jitsu wizard, okay? He's just not. And the times that we've seen him like get dominated are on the ground. So whatever. In fairness though, now he's back down at welterweight. He's going to be fighting guys not his size because he's so fucking tall, but probably closer to his natural weight. The 185 jump was literally because he was lazy, essentially. He said he just didn't want to fucking diet and cut weight, which is fine. But it didn't work out, right? You're fighting against way bigger dudes. Poninibbio just, he scares me a bit. At one point in time, he did look like he was going to be something special. That fight against Alex Morono, though, and in fairness, Morono took it on short notice, but that also, we talked about this in a video a couple days ago, that also means that Santiago Poninibbio took that fight on short notice. Like, that's what it means, dude. Completely different matchup from whoever the fuck he was fighting. I can't even remember, but anyways, Alex Morono gave him issues and stung him on a couple of occasions. And had he not found that finish, in the third round, he may have lost the decision. And Kevin Holland will probably find those shots. Like, Alex Morono isn't some technician. They're also very different styles of strikers. Kevin Holland's a lot on the outside. He's got a very long reach, you know what I mean? His kicks aren't the greatest, but his hands, and he seems to have some power behind them. And not just because he can put guys down, not like, you know, he put down Joaquin Buckley and shit like that, but with Jacare Souza, do you know, it is way harder to generate that kind of force and power when you are off your back because you're working against gravity. So I feel like his arms, the length of them, and dude, it's always the long, lanky guys. They can create a ton of leverage and shit. So the dude's got real power. And Kevin Holland needs a fucking win here. Otherwise, he'll be dropping 3 in a row. And Poninibbio, dude, he's just old. You know, he's got 2 split decision losses. Mikael Pereira and Jeff Neal, you fucks, okay? And Jeff Neal's a fucking good striker, man. So, yeah. Anyways, dude. Picking Kevin Holland. But again, man, I can't believe the odds on this one. What the fuck are the odds makers doing? Kevin Holland was like a 3.5 to 1 favorite or whatever the fuck. Like a minus 350 or something. At least last time I looked. It might be another one where you could throw some. Kevin Holland, in fairness, does have a good chin, but also, in fairness, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson doesn't quite crack the way that I would imagine Santiago Poninibbio does. And also, I hope that Kevin Holland doesn't break his hand, because you know what, dude? I really like Kevin Holland, but that bugged me a bit, because they didn't stop that fight because you broke your hand. They stopped that fight because you were getting the absolute fucking shit beat out of you. And you basically had nothing for Wonderboy. And you had taken so much damage up to that point that it may have already been career altering, right? And, you know, he immediately goes to it reminds me of Anthony Pettis. This is one of the reasons why, personally, not as a fighter, I absolutely respect him as a fighter, but one of the reasons why I don't like Anthony Pettis. He always has an excuse, and it seems like he will say the excuse to his coach, or not the excuse, he will say the thing to his coach knowing that his coach is going to stop the fight, because then that way he can at least preserve some self-pride where he's like, no, I didn't really lose to Tony Ferguson, I broke my hand. Like, he literally says that all the fuck. I shattered my hand, he said in one of them, and I thought, really? Where's the fucking injury report, dude? Do we see a shattered hand? I don't think so. Like, so many guys break their hands in the octagon, and Kevin Holland did, right, against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But then we find out also Stephen Wonderboy Thompson broke his hand, and we see the pictures of the swelling, and they are almost identical to Kevin Holland's hand. Like, they were both fucking balloons, unironically. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's still throwing that hand. He also says that he broke it off of a punch in the first round, which I strongly disagree with. And, like, he did say this immediately after, so maybe he's gone and changed his stance. But he broke his hand, or in my opinion, I don't know for sure, but when he blocked a fucking wheel kick with one hand from Wonderboy Thompson, because that was the moment when he stopped throwing that hand. And I think it was at the end of the second round. But anyways, dude. Kevin Holland, I hope he can get this one done. This is a much better matchup for him than like some of his more recent matchups. So, Kevin Holland. Bye. I don't know. Maybe a finish. Anyways, dude, next fight. Oh, dude, this fight's so exciting. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Okay, I kind of wish this one was a 5-rounder. I've seen some people say that they wish like Jorge Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns was a 5-rounder. I don't think we're going to need 5 rounds for that fight. This one, though, we could potentially, at the end of 3, be like, fuck, I wish we had 5. I would imagine, okay, this is going to be a long segment. Goddamn, I'm already at half an hour. Fuck me, dude. I talk too much. Okay. Both of these guys have a very high output, right? Adrian Yanez lands 6.6, sorry. Well, fuck the second digit. 6.6 strikes per minute. Obviously an average because you can't land 0.6 of a strike, right? Okay. His striking defense, however, is not that great. 5.5 per minute landed or absorbed, right, on his part. So his defense is about 59%, which isn't bad. That means that he's fighting guys that also have very high output if he's absorbing that many strikes per minute. But I don't know if he's fought anybody with the kind of output as Rob Font has. And also, Adrian Yanez has only gone to decision one time, I think, in the UFC. Maybe I'm forgetting another time, but I think it was a split decision against Davey Grant. Besides that, though, he's been getting finishes, which means all these numbers are based off of like 1 or 2 rounds, which is crazy. Whereas Rob Font, on the other hand, lands 6.4 per minute and absorbs only 3.9 or 3.95, so 4 per minute. Well, dude, and also I would imagine that gap got closed significantly. No, not closed. That gap opened up in the Cheeto fight. That was by far the fight where he outlanded, like by a huge margin, one of his opponents, and he still ended up losing. All of his other fights, they were not that crazy far apart, but he doesn't have a whole lot of. He's gone 5 rounds, I think, maybe 3 or 4 times. So we've got a lot more to work off of. These numbers are a lot more accurate of what Rob Font can do over the course of 5 rounds. Whereas Adrian Yanez this is kind of like, you know, he averages like he's not going 3 rounds every time. He's never been 5 rounds one. This is why I say I think that we might at the end of 3 rounds wish that we had 2 more. I can see Adrian Yanez coming out there and like pretty impressively winning the first 2 rounds. I'm very curious to see how he does against a guy like Rob Font, though, who is going to be throwing just as many back as he takes and has gone 5 rounds many of times. He can keep that pace up. We know he can. He can actually increase his pace over the course of 5 rounds. So I think that if not for the whole of round 3, but like the latter or the end half of it, right, we could see Rob Font start to pull away, and then we'll be like, shit, dude, what about rounds 4 and round 5? Now, that being said, Adrian Yanez, he might be able to do 5 hard rounds. We just don't know. Or at least I don't, because I haven't seen him do it in the UFC. But, you know, anyways, the only issue is, or one of the issues for me is, Rob Font has taken so much damage. Dude, if this was Rob Font a couple years ago, I would absolutely, I think, maybe pick Rob Font to kind of school him almost. Like, this isn't his first fight fighting a veteran, but it's his first fight fighting a guy who has like been at the top somewhat recently. And that Cheeto fucking fight, man, dude. Jesus, that Cheeto fucking fight, man, dude. That was just absolute brilliant speaking abilities. I apologize. Anyways, that was so much damage for a guy to take, man. His face literally was unrecognizable. He looked like fucking Donald Duck, okay? Not good. And he doesn't really have the power to, like, put you away. We saw him put away Marlon Moraes, but that's fucking Marlon Moraes, dude. He's been put away, like, fucking 5 times in a row. 6 times in a row, maybe. I don't know. Not great. And he's, like, the only guy not the only guy, because Cody Garbrandt won his last fight, but Cody Garbrandt almost got fucking finished in the last round. He got hurt. Rob Font couldn't finish him, but he was fucking beating the brakes off of him for 5 straight rounds. So the power is not there. I think Rob Font is the better boxer, but I think that Adrian Yanez he's got better kicks, and he mixes in his kicks quite well. Rob Font's got good calf kicks. He was doing this to Cheeto a bit. He was having success attacking the legs of Cheeto, but I know for a fact that Adrian Yanez has more power than Rob Font. You know that you don't have a lot of power when you outstrike a guy by fucking 112, and you still end up losing that fight. So I think Adrian Yanez is going to be able to absorb the strikes of Rob Font and like kind of have the mentality like, I'll take 2 to give 1, because I know this guy can't crack like I can. I think Yanez is going to be able to do more damage. And, if Rob Font can do a good job from the beginning establishing his jab, he might be able to cause visible damage to the face of Adrian Yanez. We could see a broken nose or black whatever, if he hits the same spot over and over and over again, but he just doesn't really have the power. That being said, I don't think that this is going to be a finish. I don't think this is going to be a massive, like, star-making performance. I don't know what's going on with my nose, dude. I can't fucking breathe. I don't think this is going to be like a massive star-making performance from Adrian Yanez. I think it'll probably be like a 29-28 decision. That being said, though, I could see this being like fight of the night. So then maybe it is a star-making performance, but I don't think he's going to go out there and fucking starch the guy. Unless that Cheeto fight took more out of him than we even know. So, yeah, Adrian Yanez 29-28 decision is what I'm going by. Co-main event. Oh, yes, dude. I swear, like, these are the things that I literally wake up in the morning and I go, fuck yeah, dude, I love this sport. Anyways, I did a short on this where I said that this fight is way closer than people are giving it credit for. The reason I did that was because when I checked, Gilbert Burns was a minus 465 or something like that. He was literally like a 5-1 favorite. And I thought, I know Masvidal's lost, 3 in a row. And I know Gilbert Burns looked fantastic his last time out, and then also he looked really good against Khamzat Chimaev. I'm not going to take anything away from him. That was a very close fight. But if Jorge Masvidal closes, it's like a plus 500, dude. I might throw some. Imagine what the odds are for him to win by KO. Because if you're thinking Jorge Masvidal's going to win, it's like he's going to win by KO. And like we've seen Gilbert Burns get hurt before, and he does get discouraged when he gets hurt. Now, against Khamzat, that was like a new Gilbert Burns we've never seen before, dude. Like Kamaru Usman, I'm not actually going to hold that one against him. That was a weird one, dude. He was like crying on the walkout, and I think that he really didn't want to have to fight his friend. And then when Kamaru, who was able to be fucking cold, dude, and put that shit aside, not touch gloves or anything like that, I think that fucked with Gilbert Burns, because Gilbert Burns is a very happy-go-lucky, nice guy, dude. He is like, this is why I'm not overly upset. If I see Gilbert Burns finish Jorge Masvidal, I will be upset for Jorge Masvidal. I will not be as upset as I would be if it was like somebody that I didn't like. You know what I mean? Gilbert Burns is such a nice fucking guy that if he's the one to do it, I won't be too upset, because the happiness that I will have for Gilbert Burns will somewhat outweigh the sadness that I feel for Jorge Masvidal. Now, with that being said, I was going to pick Jorge Masvidal just because of the odds. I have since changed my mind, and I'm glad that I waited until Tuesday to film this, because I saw Jorge Masvidal mention that, well, I'll read the quote. This could be the last one if I lose. I'm pretty much calling it quits, but a win against Gilbert means that things are headed in the right direction. So if I roll the dice and I do everything right, I'm going for it all. Okay. Now I'll say this. These two boys are about the same age, right? Gilbert Burns is a year younger. They're about the same age. Now, Jorge Masvidal's got more miles on him, but they're both old in terms of the sport. I don't like that Jorge Masvidal... Gilbert Burns ain't thinking about fucking retirement, my guy. I don't like that. That bothers me because that means that you are already like, I think that that's fine if you're thinking that like a 6 months out or something. But fucking fight week, dude, that should not be anywhere near your brain, in my opinion. Because I feel like then that's like a way to give yourself an out in the fight, right? Like if you're trying to get back up from a takedown and, you know, you're fucking tired and you're like, fuck it, I was going to retire anyways. And you just kind of show them the neck. Like, it kind of gives you an out. And I don't like that. And also, dude, just like a week ago, dude, he was on Joe Rogan. And he was saying that I'm not going to retire until I can't hang with the guys in the gym anymore. So I wonder why that mentality has changed all of a sudden in fight week. But anyways, dude, I had all these notes written out for why I would pick Jorge Masvidal. Some of them, like, you know, he has very good submission defense. We know this because Damian Maia was on his back for like 8.5 minutes and was not able to submit him. I've seen some people say that Gilbert Burns is way more athletic and explosive and shit like this than Damian Maia was. That may be true, but I would also counter with Gilbert Burns is coming up from 155 pounds or came up from 155 pounds, whereas Damian Maia came down from 185. So that means that at one point in these guys' careers, they were fighting 30 pounds apart. That's a huge difference, dude. Damian Maia was a fucking big guy. So that's one thing. You know, Neil Magny, who I always call Magby, like the Pokemon, because his name fucking sounds like it, is a very good grappler, but he doesn't like to be on the bottom. And we've seen this because when he fights a guy who is like a more dominant grappler than him, it's, you know, Michael Chiesa, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Gilbert Burns, RDA. RDA did it almost exactly how Gilbert Burns did it. He doesn't like to be on the bottom. And I feel like when he gets there, he's like, huh, what the fuck do I do now? Whereas Jorge Masvidal's used to that, dude. He's always on the fucking bottom. And I don't think Gilbert Burns is quite the wrestler that Colby or Kamaru is. And to be fair, though, Kamaru and Colby aren't going to fucking sub you. They just don't do it, dude. I don't know what it is. If Kamaru Usman learned how to fucking submit people on a regular basis, Jesus Christ. But he just doesn't. And I know Colby does the, like, rear naked across the face, but that's literally just to make you uncomfortable, and then he just hits you more. It's just to make you fucking, like, what do I do? I don't think he's, like, legitimately trying to choke you out. Gilbert Burns only needs one, dude. He needs one takedown, and he'll fucking sub you. Now, that being said, one way that I was worried about Jorge Masvidal getting subbed was, like, when he's getting up against guys like Colby and Kamaru Usman, he kind of knows that they're not going to take the back and put the hooks in this shit. So he will expose his back like a wrestling getup, right? You can't do that against Gilbert Burns, my guy. Because Gilbert Burns, while he does only have one fucking rear naked choke in the entire UFC, and 2 in his entire MMA career, because he likes arm bars and arm triangle, like, you know, fucking, he likes other submissions. It is what it is. He's obviously very capable of fucking sinking in a rear naked choke. So, you know, obviously, fuck, man. I have to, so again, this is another one of those fights. If I'm betting and it's strictly for money, value-wise, I'm putting my money on Jorge Masvidal. I am not going to bet Gilbert Burns as a 5-1 favorite. I'm just not. However, I'm trying to get predictions correct for videos, right? And if I'm betting, I'll bet on my own time. But I'm not going to tell you guys, like, crazy fucking underdogs, pick them as a correct prediction to and then you guys go and bet on. That's stupid to me, anyways. If you guys want to bet on big underdogs, you do so. You fucking giver, dude. More power to you. But I'm not gonna. I'm picking Gilbert Burns, man, because I don't see Jorge Masvidal winning by decision. He does not have a good track record. of close decisions. I don't think he's going to blow Gilbert out of the water with like 10-8 rounds so that it's like 30-26 or some shit. I think if anything, it would be he does enough damage in 2 rounds to maybe give it to him, and then we get some squirrely shit going on. Has really bad luck with decisions. Now that being said, though, dude, yes, Gilbert Burns was able to sub Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, or fuck me, dude, no, Neil Magny. He couldn't sub Wonderboy. That's what was weird. Like Wonderboy was continuously getting back up. If you can continuously work, and he's got to drag you down and worry about you getting up, he can't mount his jiu-jitsu offense. And fuck, man, dude, I want to pick Jorge, but I'm not gonna. God damn it, dude. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like Jorge Masvidal anymore because he got kind of fucking cringe towards the end or whatever. I remember him like, dude, when I was a kid, I used to watch Bodog on fucking Channel 16 Spike TV, okay? And I remember seeing him there. And he's just been around forever. And I feel like a guy who has literally been fighting professionally for 20 years, you can't not respect him. Because it's hard to have that kind of longevity in this sport. And, you know, he's given us some amazing highlights. Yeah, I respect him a lot. And I'll tell you this, dude, if he goes out there and gets subbed and he retires, fine, because that fall from grace will be it'll be a lot more graceful than like the way Cowboy went out. I don't want to see all my favorite old vets going out the way Cowboy went out. So hopefully Jorge Masvidal knows he's like got to do something fucking crazy, and he just goes out there, balls to the wall, and isn't worried about takedowns and worried about shit, and just mounts his own offense, and we see him like, I don't know, whatever, dude. Gilbert Burns by fucking submission. So next fight, you guys already know who I'm picking if you paid attention. Alex Poatan Pereira getting it done against Israel Adesanya. Dude, Israel cannot remain perfect for 25 minutes. He just can't. Not against a guy who is just as high level of kickboxing, if not higher level of kickboxing than himself. Not only that, same range, same height, or similar range, same height. Might even be a little bit shorter than Alex Pereira. He almost did it last time, couldn't quite do it. People keep talking about him grappling. That's annoying as fuck, dude. The only takedown he got was a reversal. So if Alex Pereira just doesn't go for that takedown, he doesn't get any. Then that is what it is, dude. So, Alex landed a takedown on Izzy easier than Izzy landed a takedown on Alex. And I don't think that in this short amount of time, Izzy will improve so much more that he's going to be able to fucking just ragdoll Alex Pereira. I just don't think that's going to be the case, especially not when Alex Pereira trains with Glover Teixeira on a regular basis, and now Glover Teixeira is no longer fighting. So his primary focus is coaching. So, you know, Alex has also showed us that he can make adjustments mid-fight, because he was trying to kind of like go easy, not easy, but be more technical, be on the outside, leg kick for leg kick, but you know what I mean? Tit for tat type shit. But when in the 5th round they go, you're gonna fucking lose, go get this guy, he goes, okay, switch, done, goes after him, just like that. Changed his fight style completely. He was obviously trying to land that left hook the whole fight, but the amount of aggressiveness that he came out there with in that 5th round, way more than he did in the previous rounds. I think Pereira's going to be more aggressive this time around. I think he's going to know, yeah, he caught me with that one shot at the end of the 1st round. By the way, too, the follow-up shot, the left hook, that was after the bell. That was not at the bell. That was after. And you can say, oh, he corked it before. It was after the bell. Now, I'm not going to fucking say that it was like Jermaine Durandamy versus Holly Holm or anything like that, but it was definitely fucking iffy, right? So, in Alex Pereira's mind, he's like, one of them hit me. Yeah, it wobbled me a little bit, but the follow-up shot was after the bell. I didn't see it coming. I heard the bell. Done deal. And then he went on to then take a ton of other shots from Israel Adesanya and be fucking perfectly fine. And not just that, but like hard shots. Izzy did a fucking huge step in 1-2 that he put absolutely everything behind, and Alex Pereira was fucking fine, dude. And I'll tell you what, dude. Alex Pereira lands that same sequence on Izzy. Out like a light, seriously. Out like a light, my guy. He's done. Also, dude, Israel Adesanya basically jinxed this fight himself. He said he's going to fuck him up. Whenever he does that, all he fucking does is stand at range and leg kick. He said it against Jared Cannonier. He said it against Yoel. Like, the guys that he says this against, I'm going to fuck him up. I'm going to fuck him up. He does absolutely not fuck him up. So, I think Pereira, again, going to be more aggressive. Knows he's going to be able to take Izzy's shots. I think he's going to fucking go right at him, dude. I think he's going to get the finish either like late round 2 or round 3. I don't think it's going to take all 5, though. I don't see this fight going to a decision. I didn't have a YouTube channel the first time these guys fought, but when they did fight, I told me and my brother were talking about it. I said, I think Pereira finishes him. I don't think that this fight goes a decision either way, but I think Pereira's going to be able to finish him, and he fucking did. So, there's no proof of me getting that correct, but he did. And I think he's going to do it faster this time. Damn, dude. That's it. Fucking long-ass video, dude. You're welcome for the timestamps. Like and subscribe. I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.